Coming up on City Spotlight, we're at the midway point of Season 11. We feature another episode with two communities. First, we travel back to Chrisman as we talk to current Mayor of Chrisman, Dan Moore. Dan will fill us in on the latest public works going on in Chrisman, as well as new economic development in Chrisman. Then we travel to Arthur for the latest on Arthur-Lovington Atwood-Hammond Schools with Superintendent of Arthur-Lovington Atwood-Hammond Schools, Shannon Cheek. Shannon will fill us in on the current school year for Arthur-Lovington Atwood-Hammond Schools and current and future facility work for the schools of Arthur-Lovington Atwood-Hammond. It's another two-community episode here on City Spotlight as we talk the communities of Chrisman and Arthur here on City Spotlight.
It's almost impossible to imagine life without internet today. It keeps us connected to work, school, and loved ones, no matter where they are. Fidium Fiber Internet now serves over 1 million locations, providing reliable, consistent service that keeps these connections strong. From vibrant cities to quiet rural areas, fiber broadband is a key driver of economic growth. Fidium is dedicated to supporting communities and enhancing lives through this essential technology. Learn more at fidiumfiber.com.
And hello and welcome to another edition of City Spotlight. As you can see, we are on location for this latest episode in Season 11. We're at the midway point of Season 11. Another episode, featuring two communities. We're going to start in this first part of the episode in Chrisman. Yes, we're back in the northern part of Edgar County, and we're back at a familiar spot, Chrisman City Hall. And to help us out in this first segment on Chrisman, we welcome first time to the program, the current Mayor of Chrisman, Dan Moore. Dan, pleasure to have you on.
Welcome to Chrisman.
Glad to be back, sir. Thank you very much. Our first time taping in Chrisman was at the end of 2022, and we've been back since talking Chrisman schools. So great to be back in Chrisman, learning about the city of Chrisman. And before we do that, Dan, you're a first-time guest on this program. Tell us about yourself, please.
Yes, I'm Dan Moore. I'm 72 years old. I was a Chrisman principal for several years, taught school here.
Wonderful.
Raised here all my life. I owned a business. I own a business now called Moore's Mobile Home Park and RV Park.
Okay.
I was on the city council back in '86 and thought I'd run for mayor again and got the votes, and here I am.
Well, here you are, and you became mayor there in the spring after I first taped here, spring of 23. So yes. You are a native of Chrisman,
yes.
And based on what you just told me there, you've had many hats in the community.
Many.
So what made you want to run for mayor here back in 2023?
There's just a lot of changes that I thought we need to have, and I love our community, and we just need to keep going. We need to work together to make things happen, and we just need to work together and get things going again.
All right, I'm getting good vibes here. I feel like a lot of these questions I'm going to ask Dan here, we're going to get some good answers here from one of the natives of the community. So again, we first taped in Chrisman at the end of 2022, and I saw recently at the end of last year, there was some news at the end of the year talking about Chrisman and a new water treatment plant. So we're taping here at the very end of January 2025. That sounds like a big project. What's the latest on that?
It is a big project. We've had a lot of setbacks, but we are making progress with it, and hopefully that should be done in the near future. We're working with the state and some grant writing.
I'm going to sound very much the same words that I've used on a lot of these episodes, and being repetitive in the sense that a project like this is not something that happens every year, every decade, maybe every 20 to 30 years. How big would this be for Chrisman moving forward to be able to improve this aspect of the community?
Yeah, big project. Big project.
I mean, it's maybe the more appropriate question would be, why is it needed?
Yeah, it's needed because our other system is outdated according to the state.
Okay.
The EPA.
Okay, very good. Look forward to seeing that project get going. Do you think it might get going later this year at some point?
We're hoping it will start this summer.
This summer, okay. So we'll definitely follow up on that the next time we come. Maybe it'll be done by then.
Yes.
Very good. Okay, back at the end of 22 when I sat in this chair talking to your predecessor, Danny Owen, on the Centennial Park, there was some piping and there was some talk of the stormwater improvements that needed to be made. Again, that was over 2 years ago. Was that something that was able to get done?
Yes, it's completed.
Let's continue with the theme of public works, and I know there was some recent work done to the railroad tracks on the south end of town that crossed Route 1. It may not sound like much, but what was the project? I know it may have impacted a few of the roads that intersected with it.
Several of the semis used that Route 1, and it made the railroad bumpy. They took the rails out and replaced those.
Okay.
So it's a smoother.
Okay, very good. Any other streets or road repairs that have happened recently or that you're looking at maybe later this year?
We're looking at probably chipping, tarring some, but like every other community, we have potholes, so it takes a lot of maintenance.
The wear and tear of the most recent winter storm,
yes.
Certainly does. All right, very good. And you have a couple of parks in the community. Centennial Park there, kind of in the vicinity of the schools, and then you have your downtown city park. Anything done to them? Any new additions to those respective parks?
We have a library that we have 2 librarians, and they got with our community, and we have a story walk where we have storybooks that are in the park uptown.
Nice.
So the kids can read books along the sidewalk.
Oh.
It's really nice. And
kind of like those, sometimes in the communities you see those little, I don't know, they call them like maybe mini portable libraries.
Right.
Where if you donate one, you can borrow one type of thing.
yeah, but this is it's a story all along the sidewalks.
Wow.
Yeah, it's neat.
And
we plan on painting the playground equipment and updating some things.
Quality of life, we talk about on this program and communities, the importance of parks. Talk about how important these 2 parks are to Chrisman.
Yeah, we do have a tractor pull up there during Chrisman days.
Okay.
We have a lot of ball games, baseball games. Our park uptown, the little kids love it, and you'll always see somebody up there shooting basketballs. We are known for basketball.
Very good. And remind our audience, you mentioned Chrisman Days. When does Chrisman Days annually happen?
It's usually September.
September,
yeah, it's always September. It's always the weekend before Labor Day.
Okay, I will put that on my back corner of my brain. Maybe I'll come check it out. Maybe we can do a feature on that down the road. Very good. All right, let's shift to economic development. And as I was driving up Route 1 here for today's taping, I saw a DG Market, and those have been popping up here. I think Arcola, Paris have added one. And talking before we hit the record button, it's something that was just recently added.
Most definitely. Our DG Market has fruits and vegetables. Prior to that, we had to drive 12 miles to get fruits and vegetables. We do have a local store here in town that's a little restaurant. She offered some fruits and vegetables to us. But it is very nice to have this store. We have a lot of senior citizens here, and they don't have to drive out of town to get their needs. It's very convenient.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Very good. And was that something that when DG Market comes to a community, and we're talking about the communities that I mentioned prior to Chrisman getting, it was Arcola and Paris. All communities I would consider smaller sized communities. Is that something that you were seeking out, another type of outlet for produce?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Any other economic development that you can follow up on? I don't know if I saw anything particularly new coming up Route 1, but again, you are here. You're from Chrisman. Anything new besides the DG Market, or that maybe on the way down the road?
Yeah, we're like any other community. Businesses are hard to bring into town.
True.
We've had several that's closed due to death. But we used to have an economic development committee, which they have dispersed. And we are in the process of getting a new one started.
Okay.
But we do have probably 3 more businesses coming into town, but I can't disclose what they are.
That's perfectly fine.
One has been here before, and hopefully it will be reopened this spring.
So another thing to follow up on down the road?
Yes.
Okay, very good. And I noticed as I was prepping for our taping today, Dan, on social media, a couple of your food establishments, restaurants in the Chrisman area, and they put little advertisements for what their specials are. Talk about a community of this size and the value and importance of having those local food establishments here for the community.
Yeah, that's very important. We have a lot of farmers that depend on those services during the farming season. We have several widows and widowers that come in and they like to have their food served to them. So it's very important.
Thank you very much. One thing that I kind of noticed in your, I looked at your recent city meeting minutes, and you had proposed to do something a little bit unique based on your skill set, and building a float that you can take around and take to various parades and promote the community. Tell us about that.
I love going to parades.
Who doesn't?
I bought an old trolley, and I take it to parades. I spend a lot of money fixing it up, but anyhow, to help the parades out, I bought the trolley, and I put on there, it's to promote Chrisman. Then I had a float this year, and it was a Christmas float, and we just go around to the different communities to promote the town.
What other community, when was the most recent parade not in Chrisman that you participated in?
We go to Paris, Newman, Catlin, Westville, you name it, we go to it.
All right, sounds really fun. Good way to have a good time, and also share Chrisman is here.
And I just wish other communities would do the same.
Very good, yeah. Very cool to hear about that. Any other goals that you might have for Chrisman the rest of this year? What's something else that we haven't talked about that you can speak of that will be transpiring in this 2025 calendar year?
Mainly is just clean up the community. We're trying to get it cleaned up. We have 4 commissioners that are really hardworking people. You're going to see myself out here plowing snow, mowing yards. I'm not a sit down behind the desk mayor, and I'm
based on one of you're just talking about the floats. It doesn't sound like you keep busy. I'm
not going to sit behind a desk, and I'm not going to say it's not my job, because it is my job. But I have 4 commissioners that were not. They were appointed. They have been on the board past years. So
and one of them is your predecessor, Danny Owen.
Yes.
So you have leadership of knows the community.
And they have knowledge, so that is good. We're graciously that they are back on the board.
Okay.
So we're going to move forward.
Fantastic.
And we have office girls here that's changed hands, and excellent. That's all I can say is excellent.
Got to have a good staff behind everyone. Got about a minute left with you, Dan. Glad to talk with you for the first time about Chrisman. Great to be back here in this community. You're a native of this community. This sounds like a very Homer question, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it. What do you enjoy about being a part of this community?
Oh, I love it. I just like the camaraderie. When somebody dies or somebody needs help, we all come together and make it happen. We decorate a park at Christmas time.
Right.
And it is nothing big, but it's for a small town. We do wonderful.
Having taped in a smaller sized community at the end of last year and their little Christmas festival, there is nothing brings joy to the heart more than seeing the heart of a community and Christmas time. And I'll certainly have to put that on my radar to check out as well. So thank you.
The thing was our town Chrisman that WCIA3 celebrated. That was wonderful.
Anytime you can share those experiences with people, there's something going on in your community.
Yes.
Appreciate the time. Our first time guest, current Chrisman Mayor Dan Moore. Dan, pleasure to talk with you. And great to be back in Chrisman. We look forward to following up on some of those things you talked about.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you. Coming up next here on City Spotlight, we'll change locations and communities. We'll head west to Arthur and catch up on Arthur-Lovington Atwood-Hammond Schools. But first, let's take a look at some of the upcoming activities going on in the communities of Chrisman and Arthur. And we're back here on City Spotlight, this latest episode featuring 2 communities. As promised, we've traveled west from Chrisman. We are back in Arthur to talk all about Arthur-Lovington Atwood-Hammond Schools. We're back at a familiar spot, Arthur-Lovington Atwood-Hammond High School. And to help us out, we welcome back to the program Superintendent of Arthur-Lovington Atwood-Hammond Schools, Shannon Cheek. Shannon, it's great to have you on again.
Yeah, I appreciate the time, appreciate the opportunity to talk about our schools.
Beautiful. Always great to be back in Arthur. Always a lovely time, whether we're talking about the schools or covering a festival. And so glad to have Shannon on again. I think it's your third time being on the program. Last tape was Shannon back in June of 2022, so long overdue. So great to have you back on. So let's talk about your current school year to start things off here. We're in the 2024-25 school year, and we're taping here on February 7th. How's the school year going?
It's going well. It's hard to believe that we're already dipping our toe in the water of the month of February, and we're kind of on the downhill slide. It's hard to believe they go faster and faster every year, but it's going well. We've had a good school year.
I was asking you before I hit the record button. You guys only lost one snow day. Did I call it the big snow that happened that impacted us? But you guys only lost one school day?
Yeah, we did, and we were kind of on the border there one day with some cold weather, but we managed to come and survived, and so yeah, we've been lucky, but we're not out of the water yet. So,
as a superintendent, and this is not listed on my my list of questions, just kind of being fluid here. So, as you get to this point of the school year, you're past the halfway mark, and graduation is just a few months away for the seniors now. When you get to this part of the school year, what are you looking forward to, or do you kind of look back, reflect on how the school year has gone, or do you look ahead? Oh wow, graduation for those seniors is right around the corner.
Yeah. You hate to look too far ahead, but yeah, you're right. Second semester means seniors are going to start winding up, and we're going to be gearing up for graduation. We're going to be gearing up for planning for next year, and we always take a retreat in the summer with our admin team, where we do a lot of the planning for the upcoming year. So I've been busy planning some of that work as well.
Okay, we're going to talk about facilities here in just a second, but since it's been a couple of years, Shannon, I figured I'd ask you, has there been any new curriculum or tweaks to the curriculum in the last couple of years?
We've been working on curriculum. We've been doing a ton of work on our standards and assessments and aligning those. And we're in year 3 of that process, and we actually are going to be wrapping up that process this year. So we've been really concentrating on that work, and I feel pretty good about where we're at with that.
Okay, so you're gathering information, gathering data, and how do you think you'll be able to use that information? What are you looking to find out?
Well, one of the things we want to make sure is that we are transparent with our public, and the work that we have been doing is all on our website. It's a curriculum matrix, and we've been making sure that our checks and balances are there in terms of what we're teaching,
right.
And what we're assessing, and making sure those things align. Right. And again, all of that work is visible on our website and gives our community some insight of what we're doing.
Okay, very good. Good to hear about that. Thank you for sharing us the latest on curriculum here at Arthur-Lovington Atwood-Hammond Schools. So again, we taped with Shannon last June of 2022. We're going to talk about facilities now, and we went over a lot of proposed things back in that, like I said, been just prior to officially being summer, but nonetheless 2022, and that proposed plans was for improvements to the building we're taping in here, Arthur-Lovington Atwood-Hammond School. Showed me a lot of artwork. We shared it on that episode back in June of 2022, and on that timeline that you had a timeline on one of those storyboards or whatnot. It was talked about the referendum, and that referendum unfortunately did not pass this past fall. And so moving forward, where do you go from here? I guess that's my lead-in question.
Sure.
Unfortunately, not that we're trying to be Debbie Downer here, but things did not go as planned. So where do you go from here?
It's a good question, because the needs are still there.
Right.
But we are trying to listen to our public. We respect the public's vote and their opinion. And what we're doing right now is we're trying to gather some information to try to figure out what our next steps are. And part of that gathering of information is bringing in an architect, bringing in an engineer, which we did some of that last week, where we really go through the building and try to paint a picture of all the work that needs to be done and put a price tag to that. So once that work is complete, we'll have to make a decision on where we go from there. So
It is a building that I think you alluded to is approaching the 100-year mark.
Yeah, we have parts of our building that are 100 or 100 plus years old. Yeah, yeah.
So things are not getting any younger, and I guess I'm going to lead you in this way. The option to fix what is already here or build a new high school, I'm sure that's option B and option A, whichever one you want to call option A, option B.
Sure.
And yeah, everybody would love the shiny new building, but that's not always the case for every community. As you said, every community is different.
Every community is different, and you know, we have 3 grade schools. We have a grade school in Atwood-Hammond. Of course, we have a grade school here in Arthur, and we have a grade school in Lovington. So we have many different communities that are feeding into our district, and you know, I thought we did a nice job of communicating the needs last time. It just didn't go through. But as I mentioned earlier, the needs are still there, and you're right. We do have to balance the equation of new building versus remodel. So we're having that dialogue right now and trying to figure out what that's going to look like for us.
And if to recap, if folks at home did not see that previous interview that we had back in June of 2022, you were going to move some of the elementary school kids here in that proposed plan. Again, that proposed plan was to have some of the elementary come over here, and in the proposed new part that was going to have the high school go over. So is the school district, I would say, in 2 years since we've taped, is it still growing? Or is it?
We're not growing, and that was part of that plan.
Right.
The most recent plan that we had did leave our junior high kids in their buildings, and we were going to focus solely on remodeling this building. So that was a little bit of a different plan. But in terms of enrollment, we have seen a decrease in our enrollment. But I think that's what I'm finding anyway, at least locally, is that's a trend that seems to be pretty common among our rural school districts.
Well, you have, obviously parents that their jobs dictate where they are, and I know from the church that I go to in Mattoon, we had a mass exodus because we had moms and dads that were employed by either EIU or the local medical facilities, and when you have big families that go through that, so then you have that. And then you obviously have some families that just have large families, they grow up and they move out. And so
absolutely,
that's part of the way it works, whether you're a rural school like this or a bigger one. All right, so obviously that didn't work, and you're looking at what's next to continue forward thinking, but you got to still keep on educating.
Yeah, we do. And I really, we talk all the time about the building, of course, and the needs that we have, but we also talk about how proud we are of what goes on inside of these walls. That's really what counts, and I still maintain that we have just an excellent staff of teachers, an excellent staff of administrators, and our test scores are showing it. As we continue the curriculum work, as we continue the assessment conversation, we're seeing the fruits of that labor. We're seeing some improvement in reading. We're seeing some improvements in math scores. So you're never satisfied of where you're at, of course. But yeah, you're right. We're extremely proud of what we're accomplishing here.
And it is very much a collaborative world in the world of education. You have the staff, the teachers, paraprofessionals, whatever you have, and then you have the students that are the ones learning. It is very much a team effort. And that is reflective on, obviously, it's all about the people. It's always about the people.
For sure.
And so your staff are getting the job done, and the students are getting the job done.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So again, the plans to improve the high school here at Arthur-Lovington Atwood-Hammond. It takes phases to complete, and so we hope to follow up with you at some point down the road, and maybe new plans come about that will work. But anything in this current school year, any tweaks to any of your buildings? Obviously, you have the communities of Arthur with multiple buildings, Lovington and Atwood. Any tweaks to any of the buildings this school year of maybe a smaller scale, not necessarily a major rebuild that we've been talking about?
Yeah, we've done some work at our grade schools. We've done some parking lot work in one particular grade school in Lovington. It was in desperate need. So we did some sidewalk replacement and some parking lot replacement there. really changed the dynamic of that building.
Right.
We did some remodels of some bathrooms. We were able to do some remodeling of bathrooms at Arthur Grade School as
Right.
well as Lovington Grade School. So that was long overdue. That was
Right.
needed. So we continue to try to do some preventative maintenance as well as some upkeep. So we've done some work.
All right. We've talked about curriculum. We've talked about facilities. I'll leave the floor open to you on a very open question. Anything else you'd like to add, Shannon, here as we tape here on February 7th? Again, you have, 3 months left in the school year?
We do.
What else are you looking forward to the rest of the school year?
You know, I just look forward to coming to work every day and being with our kids. You know, some district offices are outside of the buildings that kids are in.
Correct.
And I don't want to speak for other superintendents. They may love that. But I personally enjoy coming, and my office, of course, is in the high school. So I do get to interact with the kids.
You have to walk the hallways
I have
to get to
to
your
walk the
office.
hallways, right. So I'm glad for that. But I just am amazed every day when I walk the halls of this high school or one of our grade schools and see the time that's put into our kids, the dedication that's put into our kids and our families, from teachers to paraprofessionals to our secretaries. I say all the time when I send out information to our district or talk about our district that if you come in contact with a student, you're an educator, regardless of title.
Right.
And I just really believe our district embraces that, you know, and I'm just really proud that we take care of our kids here.
All right, I think that's a great way to end our interview. Shannon Cheek, Superintendent, Arthur-Lovington Atwood-Hammond Schools. Shannon, great to see you again, and thank you for sharing the latest on the schools here in the communities of Arthur-Lovington and Atwood-Hammond.
Absolutely. I appreciate you giving us the time.
All right, thank you very much. That'll do it for our latest City Spotlight episode featuring 2 communities. We've been highlighting the communities of Chrisman and Arthur. Thanks for watching.
It's almost impossible to imagine life without internet today. It keeps us connected to work, school, and loved ones, no matter where they are. Fidium Fiber Internet now serves over 1 million locations, providing reliable, consistent service that keeps these connections strong. From vibrant cities to quiet rural areas, fiber broadband is a key driver of economic growth. Fidium is dedicated to supporting communities and enhancing lives through this essential technology. Learn more at fidiumfiber.com.